All right, friends, thank you so much for coming. Let us pray. Dear Father in heaven, thank you so much, Lord, for giving us this opportunity to learn a little bit more about what you have created for us. Thank you for Beth and Sulianne. Please bless them, inspire them, and may your wisdom flow through them for our benefit and the benefit of those who will learn from us. We pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. So I'll start by saying that I'm not a professional gardener, but I love it like it could be a profession. I grew up in a family that my dad just puttered in the garden all the time, and his mom grew up on a farm, and his dad grew up on a farm. So, it just was kind of in the blood. And so just growing up, we just tried and failed and tried and succeeded and learned a lot, and I just kind of carried that forward. And so little of my history is I was actually an ultra preemie baby. I was born 3.5 months early back in 1962, and I weighed just over 2 pounds. They had no clue what to do with me back then. So they stuck me in a bassinet, put an IV in my heel, and filled me with tetracycline for a whole week. Which, I see everybody gasping. Yeah, that's really not good to do, but they didn't have NICUs, they didn't know what to do. So they crashed my immune system before it could develop. So my gut and my lungs were always compromised growing up. And so I'm really grateful that my dad grew food. He wasn't necessarily a respecter of organic fertilizers, but he grew food. So I think that what I had coming out of the garden was probably better than a lot of what you got at the grocery store, and it was always fresh. And so I always had a relationship with get your feet in the dirt, which today we know is grounding and is really healthy for you. Back then it just was fun. And so there were things that my dad did and my mom did that were forward thinking. And so I spent every winter sick. Beginning of October to beginning of March, I just had what everybody else had 10 times worse. So someone else would have a cold, I'd have strep throat for 3 months. Someone else would have strep, I'd have walking pneumonia for 3 months. It was just forever. And that followed me into adulthood. And then along came our kids, and they all came out sick. All of them dealt with big health issues, primarily asthma, RSV. My middle daughter had Crohn's disease in 2nd grade. And when your child has something, that's when you draw a line in the sand and you say, that's it. I have to figure this out. And so we lived in Southern California at the time, and I just started networking. I was that mom who would be in Starbucks, and I'd hear someone say something about something health, and I'd be, ooh, can I ask you a question? My kid has asthma. Maybe I could learn something from you. And I just got really bold. And I learned a lot. And I networked with a lot of people who just shared their wisdom, and I was so appreciative of that. So I swore that anytime I learned something that could benefit anybody else, if anyone asked, I would just pass it forward, which is why I love doing things like this. And so fast forward, all my kids outgrew all those health issues because we tackled it with nutrition and our food. And in Long Beach we had, what was it? Was it a 1/4 acre behind our house too?
Yeah,
about a 1/4 acre. Our house was tiny. It was 3 bedroom, 1 bath, and we raised 3 kids with 1 bathroom. Potty training was interesting. And we grew a lot of our food. We had chickens and raised beds and 20 different fruit trees. Now, it didn't happen all at once. It took a lot of years, 1 fruit tree at a time. But our kids loved it. They'd say, what are we going to have for dinner for veggies? And I'd hand them a bowl and a pair of scissors, and I'd say, go pick what you want. And they loved it. So they had a great relationship with food. Our kids grew and moved, and we followed our older daughter here. And then the pandemic hit. We moved 2 months before the pandemic, and nobody wanted to get to know us because everybody was inside and afraid. And so we thought, well, okay, we'll date indoors, right? And we'll pick things to learn. So I learned how to make my own fermented sourdough bread, and now I make our own bread. And I'd always wanted to tackle microgreens because I loved them. And I found how easy they were to do. And so I grow 4 trays at a time. I've got all 4 different stages of growth here so you can come up and see them. But I actually do all 4 at a time, and we were buying our microgreens at Trader Joe's because it's very important to have them organic. And if you grow them, it's very important to have the seeds be organic, because you don't want to be growing something that as a seed has been treated with chemicals, because these are very, very dense nutrients. So they're very, very powerful. And so microgreens are basically baby plants from fruits and vegetables. And I love them because you harvest within 7 to 14 days of germination, right? So they're really great for impatient gardeners, right? People who want to learn something new and quickly. They're very intensely flavored and highly nutritious. And if anybody wants this presentation or wants all the links where I buy my stuff, you can literally leave me your name, phone number, and email, and I'll just drop it in an email to you so you've got it all handy. And it's really neat to know that a golf ball size serving, like if you just pick a little corner, trip it with your scissors, pop it in your mouth, that is the nutrition of 10 plates of salad. Organic salad, which is really exciting, because if you have kids who don't like vegetables, or you have family members who don't like vegetables, you could hide that little handful of microgreens in a smoothie, in a sandwich, in an omelet, and you've just really packed some really good nutrition into their food. Now these are not to be confused with sprouts, which you soak in a bottle in water and drain every day, like mung bean sprouts. Yes, those are good, but especially here where it gets so hot in the summer, you can have a much higher risk of bacteria and foodborne illness in sprouts. Like if you go to the grocery store and you buy the bag of sprouts to make like Asian dishes and soups, you really need to soak them in like vinegar, water, and baking soda to clean them, because I guarantee you there's foodborne bacteria in those. Yes?
What about with lemon and salt?
Yeah, you could do lemon and salt. Yeah, in anything where you can have an acid base to clean them off. But these are far more nutritious because those never reach having their true leaves. That's just kind of the root that you're eating. You want the leaves, which is so important. So there's all different kinds. I'm not even going to try and pronounce all the names of the families. But to the right, you can see the general names that we would know. And there's many, many kinds. They come in all different colors and shapes and sizes. They go from neutral, where there's almost no flavor, to spicy. And that's what's great, is you can choose. Now I know there's some great farmers markets around here that we love to go. What's the name of the one that we really enjoyed going to when we bought the strawberries? It's River Park or not River Park?
It's near River
It's
Park.
the other one.
It's off Shaw, I think.
It's under the big.
Oh, Herndon.
It's off. There's like a giant wooden trellis over the whole thing. It's been around for years and years.
Sean Blackstone?
Yes.
That's the one.
Right by Yosemite Falls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right to the right side of it, to the corner.
Yes, that's a really great one. And there's a number of microgreen growers that have great ones. It's a great place to try them out before you decide what you want to grow, but they're expensive. You know, at Trader Joe's, you'd buy one small clamshell. The two of us would split one clamshell on one salad. And it's $4 for that one clamshell. And so it's kind of crazy how expensive they get. And so we narrowed it down to the one package that we love best is this one called Eastern Sun. And it's the Asian microgreens, which is all the brassicas. So it's Mizuna, pak choi, tender greens, daikon, and michihili cabbage. So this is really dark leafy greens. We like that. And the ones that are taller that are sticking up, those are the Mizuno, the hot mustard ones, where you get just a touch of the hot.
Spicy.
Yeah, super fun. And so that's what we chose. So I love the fact that they're concentrated. They have higher vitamins and minerals in them, and their antioxidant levels are 9 times higher. So if that's why that little clump is like 10 plates worth of salad. So the wider variety of polyphenols and antioxidants are almost 40 times higher than their adult counterpoints, because as they grow, everything, well, it kind of like dissipates, because the leaf's getting larger, everything's spread over a larger surface, whereas everything's packed into those little tiny leaves. So there's a lot of health benefits. And you know, I have to say may reduce the following risks of diseases, because I'm not a doctor and I can't make claims, but all of these have had lots of tests done on them. So fabulous for heart disease. High polyphenols lower the risk of heart disease, lower triglycerides, and bad LDL cholesterol. So a lot easier to get that in one little handful of microgreens than putting a massive plate of vegetables in front of someone who needs to eat them and has never liked eating vegetables before. So it's very user friendly. Same thing with Alzheimer's. High polyphenols reduce risk. I took care of one of our best friends for the last 7 years of his life with Parkinson's, and boy, a lot of dark green drinks, a lot of sprouts, a lot of microgreens, and he always would have much better concentration and be much more present right after he ate those for a good span of time. It was really interesting to really see hands-on the impact that it had on someone's life. Diabetes, of course, antioxidants reduce stress from sugar properly entering the cells. That's part of the deal with diabetics. They cannot have the sugar properly enter the cells. And so fenugreek microgreens actually enhance cellular sugar uptake properly, 25 to 44%. That's really huge. Certain cancers rich in polyphenols may lower the risk of certain cancers. And inflammation, of course, we know that increased vegetable intake lowers inflammation and diabetes. So just adding a small amount just adds way more nutritional value. And I love the fact they can grow in small spaces. You can grow them anywhere. There's no one who can't grow them. If you have a little bit of light, you're good to go. And that's what I love about it. From apartment dwellers to big landscape. I mean, a lot of people grow them in their garages as businesses. Like they clean out the garage, line them with trays, and they have a microgreen business. And so how can you grow them at home? If you have water, soil, seeds in a window with a tiny bit of sunlight, you're good to go. And so I love the fact that it's a minimal weight. And there is no exact container you have to have. You can see here, mine is literally, I bought a 10-pack of the to-go food containers from Target. It was 10 for $10. I was like, that's great, $1 a piece. Now it has that white plastic lid, which I didn't use because you have to block out the light. But I like the fact that it had a color, because seeds need to germinate in the dark. So I wouldn't use a clear container. I've seen people who do, but I wouldn't. I have like 100% germination using this, and I love that. Grow lights. If you don't have like a window that gets enough sunlight, I have, we're in a rental home right now that has like a bar counter that we chose not to put bar stools at, and I bought $5 grow lights off Amazon, 2 of them, and I have Command sticky hooks up under the counter, and they're hooked over the Command sticky hooks. I mean, you can't get much simpler than that. And I have a little tiny shelf under that. I have a soap business as well, and I keep my soaps that I've made in those cabinets, so they're right under the grow lights. I'm like, it's just tucked right there. It's easy, and that's where I do them in the winter because there's not enough sunlight in the window in the winter. It's just simple fix, $10 worth of grow lights, which is great. And I love the fact that if you are allergic to specific vegetables or herbs, you do need to. Some people are. Some people have allergies to things. Many types are high in vitamin K, which is an essential vitamin involved in blood clotting. So if you're taking warfarin or other blood thinning medications, it's important to maintain a consistent intake of vitamin K rather than like a huge onslaught really quick. So you should check with your doctor if needed, if you are on blood thinners. Just say, hey, can I eat microgreens? And you should be good. But it's always good to check. So this is it. That's simple. Like I said, my little Target trays. I mean, I'm sure some Asian restaurants will send you home with your takeout in these trays. I mean, you could grow them in pretty much anything. And so that's what you need, or soil. Now you do need to have sterilized potting soil. You do not go outside and dig the dirt out of your garden, because I know that we all have neighborhood animals who use our dirt to potty. You do not want to grow your microgreens in anything that's come in contact with any germs outside, so it's really important to have it be sterile. I choose not to use dirt because I don't want to constantly be buying bags of dirt. I actually went to the local hydroponic store, which is actually pretty close here. I don't have the address. It's in my information at home for you all. But I buy a roll of the organic coconut coir, which is 4 feet by 8 feet long. And that grows my husband and I and our family an entire year of microgreens. Yeah, and so I lay it on the floor and I put big plant pots on the corners and I take my marker and I mark it exactly. I know exactly 4 inches by 6.5, and I just cut it up in big stacks. So like every 3 or 4 months I cut a bunch of stacks, and there you go. And I love that the coconut coir is biodegradable. So if you grow in soil, that's fine if you want to do that. But once you mow down your sprouts, you have to throw that soil away. You can't reuse it because it's just a ball of roots. And I love that the coconut coir is compostable. So I don't feel like I'm adding grossness into the trash system. I know that this is going to break down and actually be good for the earth. And then all I'm doing is replacing this each time and reusing the same container. I do put these through my dishwasher. I don't hand wash because I have grown in them for 10 to 14 days. I want to make sure there's no food bacteria, so I put them on my top rack of my dishwasher so they are sterilized when I use them again. And that pack of 10, since I grow 4 at a time, there's always 4 growing and 4 ready. Yes?
What about if you have a manual dishwasher?
Well, just put some gloves on and run that water really, really hot, right? And maybe splash a little vinegar in it. Like if you have any white vinegar around, when you're done washing, splash a little vinegar and rinse it around and then rinse it out. Just make sure you get it really clean. So, yes?
On the containers, does it matter if they're food grade?
I always make sure they're food grade, just because I want BPA-free food grade, because plastic leaches all kinds of things. My kids laugh because my nickname when they were in school was Organo Mom. Everything is done organic in our household, like uber hardcore organic. I think because of what my health was, what my kids' health was, I just kind of slowly made the switch. So I did make sure that everything's BPA free and food safe. And so super simple, the tray, I use the coir, you know what dirt is, so I didn't have to take a picture of that. I just a little spray bottle, make sure it hasn't been used for anything else. Get a clean one for $1 at CVS, and it's 50% filtered water, 50%, 3% hydrogen peroxide. And so you only use this one time at the very beginning, and then your seeds. I will share the link if you leave me your information. I'll forward the links of where I buy my seeds. I narrowed mine down to a company that I really love called Rainbow Heirloom. That's all they do is organic microgreen seeds. This is what they do. And I love the fact that there's all different choices. You can buy certain types of seeds or you can buy mixes. And when we first started, I went a little hog wild. God bless him, he never saw the credit card bill on that one. And I bought like 6 different 1-pound packs. I didn't know how much you needed, and it was a pandemic, and I thought, well, it'd be my thing. And so we tried beets, and we tried kale, and chard, and basil, and then I tried this Asian microgreen mix because we like that little pop of spice. And our favorite has become this one. So this is the only one I buy now because I still have some of the leftover kale, but I actually grow the big kale plants, so I don't feel like I need the microgreens on top of it. And I wait until they have a big sale once a year, where if you buy more than 2 of them, it's free shipping. And so I'll buy 3 of these 1-pound bags, and I've only used this much in the last 5 months. I'm not even to the bottom of this bag. I mean, I'll get like 6 months of microgreens, and I grow 4 trays at a time every 4 days. So it takes a long time to use them up. So I have 2 others that haven't been even opened yet at home. And so it's super, super simple. And so what you do, step 1, is you fill your clean tray with 1 inch of soil. And if you're gonna use soil, like any other container gardening, you'd put it in a bucket and you'd water the soil before you put it in. Not wet or soggy, but just moist, right? So 1 inch patted down, or simply the coconut coir. And what I do for the coir is, yes, it's organic. I don't know where it was processed. So again, I sterilize. So I will boil a teapot of water, and I will fill the tray halfway with boiling water and let it sit for about 20 minutes, and then rinse it out repeatedly in the sink, and the water comes out dark brown. Just, I'm getting rid of whatever might be hiding in there. And so once I've done that, I literally will sprinkle my seeds on. I mean, you can't get any simpler. I literally open the bag, take a handful, and broadcast them on the top, and I'm done. It's that simple. Then that's where I use this. Once I have done that, I water. You can see can you see the water level here? It's not up to the top, so it's not puddled, but I know that the coir was already wet because I sterilized it. And so I bring the water just below the edge of the coir because I don't want any seeds floating in water. That's when bacteria can grow. So the water is just to the edge. Sprinkle the seeds on top, and then I healthy spray all over the top. And the reason you do the hydrogen peroxide is you need to crack the covering on the seed because they're hard. Seeds are usually buried in dirt. If you do them in dirt, you're going to sprinkle a little more dirt on top, and you don't need this. But since I do the coir, I spray the hydrogen peroxide on the top, and then that's it. That's the only time I ever use the hydrogen peroxide, and it helps that seed coating crack open and germinate. And I have found, because I've grown both in soil and coir, sometimes my soil germination could be 50%. That's, to me, money in the trash because the other 50% didn't grow. Hydrogen peroxide, I pretty much have 100% germination. So they all germinate. I get every single little, that's another thing about me. I want 100% of everything. And so I love that. And you place it in an undisturbed location. So you can see I have 4 lined up here. These are all 4 stages of growth, so you can see them later. And it's just 2 cookie trays. So I'll have 4 of them with the seeds, and I literally place the tray on top because it blocks out the sun completely, blocks out any light. Seeds need to be in the dark to germinate effectively. And I'll just leave it. And I'll come back a couple days later and I'll take a little, oh, peek, and where is it at? And then when I see that it's starting to germinate, that's usually when it might need a little more water. And so I have one of those old watering cans. Let me see if there's a picture on the next one. No, it doesn't. But it's like has that long, skinny little spout.
It wasn't before.
Was it?
The previous slide.
Yeah, see how it has that long, skinny spout? I have a really, really old one, like $5 at the flea market, and I love it for my indoor plants. That's what I use. And I just take the water to the edge, like right at the edge, and I dribble it in until it's just at the bottom of the coir again. That's probably the only watering I do the entire time because I don't want water to puddle and grow bacteria, which can start once there's roots reaching through the coir. So you have to be careful to make sure it doesn't smell off. And so then I cover them back up again, and I leave them for like another 2-3 days. Now, in warm weather, these will germinate within 48 hours and be ready to be in the sunlight in 5 or 6 days. In the winter, that's like 7 to 10 days because it's colder and darker. And so it's just super, super simple. It's like, you don't even have to think about it. And so in the germination, you can see all the little fuzzy white parts. People are like, oh, there's mold. I'm like, no, that's the baby root hairs. That's a good thing. That means they've really taken a hold. And so I just leave them alone, and I check on them every couple of days. And then you see how they're long and pale. That is when you can see here, it's literally pushing up against the bottom of the tray. And you can see since I arrived, this was getting room light, there's already photosynthesis happening. These are already turning dark green. These were all pale when I walked in the room an hour ago.
Tilt that one.
Yeah, well, it's got water in it. If I tilt it, I'll spill. And so that's what's really cool about it is you can either take this out of the tray and stick it in your windowsill, or wherever you've got light. Me, because I've got those little 2 sections with grow lights, I literally just take this lid off and put the lid to the side, and then I turn on the grow light and I leave the grow light on 24 hours a day until they're ready to eat. They will look like this at the end of the day when you take the tray lid off. They'll be that green. And then I let them sit in the windowsill until the first, let me pull one out so you can really see it up close. So you can see that there's 2 sets of leaves. That's called the true leaves, right? You really don't want to start what I call mowing your tray until you have 2 full sets of leaves. You want to, as a general rule, see that almost all your tray has 2 leaves. Then you know they're super good, nutrient dense, they're ready to go. And the fun thing is that you really don't have to water anymore at all, because even just a little bit of base moisture under the coir is enough for those roots. Remember, I watered at the beginning to get it started, and I watered midway. I added a little bit, maybe 2 tablespoons more water. That's it. That's all you need. Unless it feels really dry, like if I tip the tray and I see a little bit of water to the side, it doesn't need any water. It's that simple. And so you could grow all kinds. You could check daily if you want. I check daily because it's fun. I love it. Oh, that was those hot mustard ones. Whoop, got it. And so you could grow more than 1 microgreen in a tray, which is really fun. People get really creative. And so to mow them, which is really fun, I go a little further because the whole germ thing. And I literally will lift them out of the tray like this, and I'll turn my sink water on and I'll tip it, not like this, but like this, and I'll run the water along the back to rinse everything down. And then I place them on like a dish towel that I have to the side. And I'll let them sit for a couple hours, right? Because I don't want any moisture to get in the container I'm putting them in. I don't want any goopy water that could carry bacteria to end there and just spoil the whole batch quickly. And so then to mow them, I literally, after I've let them sit there for a while, I stand like this over a big salad bowl and like mow the lawn, literally. And I get as close as I can to the coir. I've mistakenly gotten coir in the greens. Doesn't taste very good. It's pretty hard to chew, but I get as close as I can because I know that whole stem has all those phytonutrients along with the leaves. So I get as close as I can, and then I toss this in the trash. It's that simple, and it's compostable. Or if you have a compost pile, if you actually have property and you have a compost pile, cut it up in like quarters and throw it in your compost pile because you'll add nutrients to your soil. And so for storing it, I literally I like to use a glass container because everything is more sterile and lasts longer in glass. You can store in plastic, but you'll need to eat them quicker because plastic causes things to break down faster. So I just shove a piece of paper towel in there and I mow it right into the container. And then when I close the lid in the fridge, I will only seal 3 out of 4 sides. I don't seal the 4th. Just teeny tiny bit of air coming in means that they're not closed in and causing bacteria growth. Just leaving that little edge open. And oftentimes he'll come in and think I'm done, and he clicks it shut, and I go back and fix it. But literally, this will last. These were harvested over a week ago, and this container was 3 times this size. They've graduated down, but we eat these almost every day. We put them on salads and sandwiches. Anything you can think to put them on, we do, which is lovely. And
avocado toast.
Yeah, and so if you look at the cost average, it costs me about 45 cents for each tray. And this tray is the same amount of microgreens as that $4 clamshell package at Trader Joe's. Yeah. And so I did the annual math because I had to know for this presentation. And so we eat a tray every 2 days, and it saves us over $400 a year. Now I did the math on every 3 days because I was being conservative, but our cost annually to eat microgreens for my husband and myself, and anytime my neighbors or my daughter want microgreens, I've got them to share, is under $55 for the whole year. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, think about how much we spend in groceries if we go buy organic, and how much of it we don't use and we throw in the trash.
Yes, goes back.
Yeah, so actually, I had made so many microgreens that I had 3 boxes in the fridge. One of them was one of these, and I thought, well, I'll bring everything and share it, and I opened it, I went, that one's got to go. So I had to throw the tray out like this, had to throw it in the trash, but I feel so bad because it was 45 cents. So, it's just super fun. So I brought this and this. These are all fresh and ready to go, and I don't know if everybody wants to sample them at some point before you go.
I made a salad, so I put it on a plate.
Yep, we can. So I brought enough that everybody could sample them and try them today. and have fun with them. And so you guys can pass around that sheet if you want me to send you links and directions. But see how creative people get? You can see some people do use clear. Some people even do them just on a piece of paper towel. Now I tried that first. I didn't really have much luck. Yes?
Where's a hydroponics store in Fresno?
I have that in the link I can email you.
They have one on Shields and
Yeah,
Cedar.
there's 3 or 4 of them, but only one of them sells the hydroponic. I've been to all of them.
Okay, when they go bad, what do we look for? Like what type of odor?
It will smell bad. You will smell it. Rotten, slimy green smell. Like if you have a box of lettuce. No, like have you ever bought lettuce and the lettuce goes bad and it has that stink?
That stench is like
Yep, same thing.
Yeah.
You can use that up first, and then if you want to add more, you can mow from the top. Just don't tip because there's water. But you're more than welcome. Use that up first, and then if you need more, yeah. So just any stink. If there's any stink, or if you open them up to take some and they feel slippery, throw them out. Because if they're slippery, that's bacteria that's growing. They should, it's like picking up grass clippings, right? It's how it should feel. And so you can see people get fancy or they stay super simple. So it's super, super easy. And so I just love they come in all different colors. And I always tell people, you have to love yourself with your fork, right? Every bite of food that you put into your body is reflected in your DNA, right? So what you eat is what you are. I know you all know this, but I'm just so passionate about that. Why not make what we eat work for us and make us live optimally? No one ever guesses that I'm 60 years old. And I didn't look like this, 6, 7 years ago? I'd been chronically ill for 17 years and bedridden for 3. Really, almost died. Really sick. And so it took me 7 years to rebuild myself from the inside out, and a lot was gut health. And so I swore I would never go back to that. And so every bite I put in my mouth is a decision of, do I want to honor the temple God's given me, or do I want to play with fire and set myself back and have to rebuild? Yeah, sometimes if I'm at a birthday party, I want that piece of cake, right? I'm not a purist. But on a daily basis, we choose to invest in the things like this that we know are going to help us live optimally so we can be of service in our community, our church, our family. And we haven't been sick, I spent every winter sick my entire life until 55, and I have not been sick in 5 years. Not even the sniffles. Sailed through the pandemic, and I work with, I'm around people all the time, right? We don't vaccinate, we didn't mask. If anybody was going to be taken down and out, it was going to be me with my lungs and my gut. Not even the sniffles. So, and I attribute that to a lot of the things that we do. They're simple. This is a simple hack. And so, I know there's another hack I'm going to come back and teach you guys later on that's a little more involved, but Julie, so let's start with the microgreens. So thank you for having me, and I hope it blessed you.